Hey guys, this is Dom. It's been a while since I've recorded a Magic video, but I'm doing something new and interesting that I kind of wanted to have a log for. So this is a format it's sort of new, but I think it's actually really old, but just hasn't been played in a long time. But regardless, we're doing a modern rotisserie draft. And this is something that was done um, by the Wizards of the Coast coverage team a couple weeks ago, and apparently they just started talking about it at Grand Prix Cleveland, which was like back in February or March, and they made the spreadsheet and they did this draft and they played the games out on Twitch, and it was really cool. So I'm doing this same format with some of my friends, and I want to keep a log of how it goes, and eventually I'll record the matches and all this stuff when we're done. But this format's proven to be very interesting so far. And what is this format? In case anyone doesn't know, you can go look up Randy Bueller, I think, was the lead streamer for the event. But you can go look up the WotC coverage draft. They also talk about it on its episodes 279 and 278, 279, and 280 of the limited resources, which you can find at lrcast.com. But anyway, or you can just listen to me explain it. So what this is, a rotisserie draft, I just learned this very recently, is it's a draft where all the cards in the pool are known to all players, and then the players draft those cards in a normal order. And then you build decks and you play with them. It's pretty simple. So this is a modern rotisserie draft. That's the format that the WotC people chose. So every card legal in modern, there's one copy of that card is in the pool for us to draft. And you draft 42 picks like you do in a usual draft. And that's all this part. You build a 40 card deck just like in a regular draft. You can add land. We're also playing this time just to see how it goes. We're going to let people add snow lands too, so people may actually draft the cold snap cards. It's something we talked about before. And I actually tweeted Marshall Sutcliffe, and he said he didn't know about the snowland rule. So I said, hey, Marshall, we'll try it. I'll let you know how it goes. It's possible somebody will just crush everyone with an Allosaurus Rider or Rime Feather Owl or something, but we'll find out. Everything not in your deck's in your sideboard. So there's 8 players. We're going to do 3 rounds in the top 4, and that's what the coverage draft did. And the rule is that if you 3-0 the Swiss, you get to choose who you play in the top 4. So that's kind of an interesting little wrinkle, motivation for 3-0ing the pod. And that's all this top stuff. So again, how does this draft actually work? I'm Dom, like I said before. I'm picking third. I'm right here. And obviously we started already. We started like a couple days ago. Everybody gets up to a day to make their picks if they need to. Some are faster than others, but that's totally fine. So I haven't missed much yet. This is very interesting. So LSV and Marshall both thought that Batterskull was the first pick. Was just the best card to take. We have it at the very top of my rankings, and it fell to me at number 3. So that's all I've taken so far. But what I've done, actually haven't finished yet, is I'm just going through. I have all these different spreadsheets of like playable cards from all these different blocks here. So, and I still have a couple more to do actually, but the plan is, so I've like identified all the cards that I think are draftable, and so I'm going to try to, and I have like a top, I'll show when I make my next pick. I have like a top 25 list that I'm going to try to use for the first like 3 or 4 rounds. And then once I decide what archetype I'm in or what colors I'm drafting, then I'll go sort through all that other stuff and then make a list of, okay, all the black and white cards or whatever I end up with. So I got this Batterskull first. And so first pick was Snapcaster Mage, Primeval Titan. Noble Hierarch, which probably seems not that great, but I thought about it more, and it actually goes on to decks. If you want to draft Infect, this is the card that everyone wants that you have to have. It's also just a very strong card. The premium removal Lightning Bolt path. Cryptic Command going so early is interesting. Taking it. It's a really good card, but it's triple blue, so that's an interesting commitment. The last picker saw no black cards were taken, so took 2 black cards, and then we've got a Thoughtseize and a Tarmogoyf. And I'm expecting this is probably Goblin Guide here, but I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm gonna. So my plan is to just like pause the recording and then just come back each time I do the picks. That may end up being disjointed, but hopefully it won't be too hard to watch. Or maybe I can update like halfway between my turns or something. I'll figure it out as I go along, but bear with me. But this is a really cool format. I just want to point out that, like, so obviously I took Batterskull first. There's 2 reasons that Batterskull is one of the top cards. One is that it's colorless, so I'm not committing to a color early, and I can see what other people are drafting. For example, I feel like I don't want to be in green, because a green card went on either side of me, and then there's also possibly a 3rd green drafter, even though green is my favorite color in Magic. So probably go for something else. Batterskull also is it's very good against aggro because of the lifelink, and then it's also good against control because it's a recursive threat. So like, it's really only bad in the combo matchups, which could happen, but it looks like nobody's like drafted a Splinter Twin or anything weird like that yet. I would say things keep changing. There's only been 1 white card taken, and I think particularly if the next 2 picks are not white cards, I'm probably going to take Restoration Angel. And then possibly take Kiki Jiki with my 3rd pick, and then maybe I'll try to build the combo deck because nobody's going for anything interesting. But we may not go that way. I could also take Wormcoil Engine if that's on the table, and maybe draft like Thirst for Knowledge and Tezzerets and build an artifact deck too. So I'm not really sure what I'm going to do yet, but next time we come back, we can look at the rankings a little more. But it's really late, and I'm going to go to bed. So I will be back probably tomorrow or the day after. You won't know when you're watching this anyway. I think I'm going to do like the first, I'm doing like maybe 4 video sets, like the first 10 picks, and then 11 to 20, and then on the way down. Although it goes faster the later picks are, you pick 2 at a time. But yeah, so that's all I've got for right now. But I hope that you enjoy following this draft, and I really enjoyed just watching these picks in front of me. Like, I was thinking before the 2 black cards went, I was thinking, well, maybe I'll just draft Liliana when it comes back, and if no one's drafting black, I'll draft black. But it looks like all the colors are at least somewhat represented. So, well, white and red seem to be the least represented right now. So if the red deck's like the burn deck, if they're just drafting a bunch of aggro creatures, I can probably draft like the big red or combo Restoration Angel Kiki Jiki's a combo. I can get Zealous Conscripts, that sort of thing. You can do Splinter Twin plus Midnight Guard or Village Bellringer, so it might be interesting to build that deck. Batterskull's actually not the best in that deck, but like I said, there's a blue-based artifacts deck. I can do just about anything right now because all I have is a colorless card. So we'll see how it plays out, and I will be back with my pick sometime soon. All right, we're back here for pick 2. Just got my rankings that I'm going to go through in a minute. So when I last left, we had picked up to the Tarmogoyf. So for pick 2, and I realize I'm going to try to like shorten these intros and outros going forward after this pick. I'm going to try to do that, because otherwise it'll probably get really boring if you're watching this all at once. But so we had the seat 5, which I was really expecting to take Goblin Guide, just because like red seems open, nobody's taking red cards. So he actually took Sacred Foundry, which is a pretty interesting choice given that we had a white player pick before him, and then the other possible white player picking after him. And it turned out the player in seat 4 chose Restoration Angel. So I thought when I went to bed last night, the Tarmogoyf up, I was like, okay, well, there's only been really only one white card taken, I may go for the Restoration Angel. And then, because I have Restoration Angel very high on my rankings, I have it at 5. It's one of my favorite cards ever. Her and Thragtusk are best buddies. So I was considering taking Restoration Angel, hitting the Thragtusk on the way back, or possibly hitting the Kiki Jiki on the way back, or the Splinter Twin. Probably the Kiki Jiki. I have those further down, but that's my top combo. I think if you're going to draft a combo in this format, that's a good way to do it. But kind of wanting to stay away from that. So these rankings are pretty arbitrary. They're just cards I think I want to pick. So what I think I'm actually going to do, so basically down to Wormcoil, Vendilion Click, Thragtusk in my top 10. And if we go look at this again, you can see that I expect the Snapcaster person to probably draft the Click, or we've basically got like 2 people in blue already. And I think I may want to go into blue, but not for like the hardcore blue cards, which I'll explain in a minute. But I could take Thragtusk, but I'm not a huge fan of that with now 3 green players and 2 of them on either side of me. So green, I wanted to draft green when I came into the draft because green is my favorite color, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that in this draft. So what I think I'm going to just do is take the Wormcoil, and on the way back I may take Karn, just be all colorless spells, and then I can, or maybe I'll draft a Spell Guide or something. But I think I may just draft the Artifact deck, because that seems to be open. And I'm not sure if I take the Wormcoil and then see what the next 4 picks are, it may reveal something's open that I don't think is open. So Wormcoil is gonna, like Batterskull, it's a very similar card. It's almost like the 6 mana Batterskull. Like the only reason Batterskull is probably better is because it costs 1 less. So these are both cards that I like to have a lot. But if it turns out that the Artifact deck's the way to go, I can draft Tezzerets, I can draft Spellskite, Thirst for Knowledge, Academy Ruins, and all that, and try to build an Artifact deck, which might be fun. But if another color opens up, I can just move into that color with my 2 very strong Artifact cards, colorless cards. And I can still draft Karn too. I'll be surprised. It's possible a Primeval Titan person might want Karn, but those are like Batterskull, Wormcoil, Karn are my 3 big colorless cards. I have Sword of Body and Mind next, just because milling 10 is really powerful when they only have 40 card decks. We kind of have a mishmash of things. So the Wormcoil is the best available card, and then we've got Vendilion, Thragtusk, and then Karn, Shriekmaw, Baneslayer, Goblin Guide, a lot of stuff. I said these rankings are very fluid. They're going to change pick by pick. I think I might have Bob too high. Because flipping giant monsters to Bob isn't that good. But yeah, like, these cards are all so good, though. You just want to get some of them and build a cohesive deck around them. So we'll see where things go. I'm not really sure from here. But I think that I'm going to stick with the Wormcoil for now and see what awaits me for my 3rd pick. Because I just, like, don't feel incentivized to move into any of the other colors right now. Black is probably the most tempting because all the black drafters are over here. And I think it's possible that this seat might be drafting fairies, because like I don't know what other deck you'd follow up Cryptic Command with Thoughtseize when the person next to you just took 2 black cards. So I expect like a Bitter Blossom to go in one of these spots, and probably the Thragtusk to either go here, here, or here. As much as I want to be the person doing that, I don't think I can just take the Thragtusk, and I don't want to fight with all my neighbors for all these cards. So I'm going to pick Wormcoil Engine, and we'll be back for pick 3. Looks like for pick 3, so since I took the Wormcoil Engine, we've had somewhat predictable stuff out of the seat 2. Ramp cards to get the Primeval Titan. We got a Solemn and a Secure Tribe Elder, but then the surprising thing here, so I'm not sure I understand these picks really. So we've got Snapcaster Mage to start, And then, so to go with our Snapcaster Mage, we take a sorcery that already has flashback, and then a creature that actively makes it more difficult to snap things back. Like, these are good cards, I just don't know if they all go together. So I was expecting a Vendilion Click and an instant or sorcery, probably, but that's not what happened. So looking ahead, pretty sure this is a Windmill Slam Thragtusk. I kind of thought that Thragtusk would go in one of these two picks here, just because it just seems so obvious to go with the Restoration Angel. So it was a thing for so long in Standard. I don't know what's going on with this pick. Probably Goblin Guide. I thought he'd take it last time, but I guess no one else is in red. And speaking of which, again, red and blue are the most open colors right now. And, well, I could take Karn Liberated. Whoops, makes over here. Yeah, so I've highlighted these cards that have been taken, but yeah, so I don't want to take Thragtusk because I got green players on either side. But basically, Karn or Shriekmaw isn't bad. No, there's a lot of black going on now. If Scott had taken Tassiger, I think I'd be more likely to pick the Shriekmaw, but I think I really need to take a red card. So I don't really want to take Splinter Twin. I don't want to take a burn type card like Goblin Guide. So even though going way down on my list here, I think I'm actually taking. I don't want another 6-drop either. Although I might take Inferno Titan at some point. So I think what I'm actually going to do is I kind of went through and looked at red and then at black-red cards. That's what I got over here. This is a lot of different things. I'm probably not going to take all of these, but Thundermaw Hellkite was at the top of my list. It's a very strong threat. It happens to crush the Lingering Souls that was just taken. And I think everyone's really settling in for these mid-rangey decks, it looks like. And Thundermaw just, like, always gets through. Like, if they don't have an instant speed removal spell, like, he taps all their guys and he gets in there for 5. So I think that's actually going to be my pick here. I could see argument for Vendilion Click. I don't know how well it goes with McWorm Coil Engine, but red is, like, obviously really open, and even the red player has branched into a second color. So I think I just want to get in on some of these top red cards. The Thundermaw Hellkite being the one that stood out to me, but we got a lot of removal. So we just get some removal, some ramp. Maybe get a Boros Reckoner would be nice. I might dip into black. There's a list of all the reasonable black-red cards, and somehow Vexing Shusher got on this list. No, it's red-green. But yeah, like Blightning seems pretty great in this format. Some discard, Terminate, Dreadbore. So I think my plan is going to be to make red my main color and then splash into black. But again, we'll see what people do. Nothing's completely locked in, but for now I'm going to take Thundermaw and see where that leads us. Alright, so we're about halfway to my next pick, so I thought I'd talk a little bit about what other people are doing before it gets back to me. And so, as predicted, Thragtusk went right after me to go with the Restoration Angel. That was not much of a surprise. This Stomping Ground pick kind of is a surprise, and I honestly don't know what's going on here in this seat. I thought, okay, maybe Sacred Foundry just to, like, cement that I'm going to take some, like, Boros Charm and some red-white cards. But maybe the two things I thought of is maybe he's going to draft Zoo, like maybe he'll take Wild Nacatl next. Or maybe he's just, like, assuming, like, I'm the only other person who's drafted a red card and it was a 5-drop. Maybe he's just assuming that there's going to be nobody after the red aggro cards, which might be a valid assumption. But I feel like I'd at least want Goblin Guide just because that card is so good. But maybe he'll take it here. But it just seems weird when, like, red is so open for him to be branching into other colors. But the good news for me is that I mostly want to branch out into black, and he's already gone into 2 other non-black colors, so I not expecting like a Blood Crypt to go here, although you never know. This is interesting here, this Pride Mage pick, because I was like, we got two players clearly in green white. Like, green white's good. I kind of wanted to draft green white when the draft started, but I don't want to fight for it like this, and they may just kind of bash heads and end up with weaker decks. I'm not sure if someone's going to blink and move into a different color, but it's hard to move into. Like, red is the logical other color to move into, but like the Foundry and the Stomping Ground are gone, so it almost feels like these three are kind of taking up too much of the same space. But over here, I thought this was an interesting pick here in seat 7. So I think it's like I thought Cryptic Command Thoughtseize, maybe he's going to draft blue-black fairies, which, I don't know if that's a good deck or not in this format, because I never played this format before. I don't know if my deck's good or not. But it seemed like if you're going to take that route, you just have to pick the Bitter Blossom here, and then he went with the Click, which is kind of an interesting pick, because it seems like the Click is probably safe from the person who drafted 2 black cards. But like the Bitter Blossom is probably a lot less safe, so he either probably more likely just didn't want the Bitter Blossom, or it's possible he just like didn't make that connection, because then we get Phyrexian Arena and the Bitter Blossom, so the seat's pretty firmly in black. And then Mana Leak is a reasonable choice now that like black is being so heavily drafted here that he probably won't just move away entirely from this Thoughtseize, but they probably don't want to be competing over black cards, particularly since there is not another blue drafter, except for way on the other side, and only 1 blue card's been taken, so there's blue may be the blue and red are clearly the most open colors right now. Black is interesting also. So I guess black and blue are about even. So like red is clearly the most open. And then black and blue really only have one person that's heavily drafting them. And then like we just don't know what Scott's doing over here. So I think where this leaves me, I guess let's try to predict the next 3 picks. You actually have no idea what the next 3 picks are. I said this could still be Goblin Guide. I'm still waiting for it, but it could be anything. Probably just going to be, I don't know if you pick, like, Loxodon Smiter here, maybe. It looks like if these guys, the 2 green-white players, are going to not fight each other, then they probably need to have, like, this one go aggro, so he's got 2 drops, and this one go more mid-range or go bigger. So, like, Smiter makes sense here, but maybe, like, Whitley Pleage makes sense here, or Dragon Lord Dramoka, although it's probably too early for that. Or Baneslayer Angel is probably really good in this seed. I think Baneslayer is probably the best pick here. I'm not sure what we have left on my top 50 list. By the way, I did not have Thundermaw Hellkite on my top 50 list, which is definitely wrong. It's like I definitely put it above Grimaz and a few of these. It might only be like in the 40s or at best the 30s, but it definitely should be in here somewhere. But anyway, so the top 12 cards are all gone now. So I've got Karn, Shriekmaw, Baneslayer as the top cards left. I think I'm probably gonna go for these 2 cards. I think I need to kind of stick my foot into black and make sure people realize that like that is something I'm gonna draft. I'm a little worried if so I kind of wish I could take Karn and take a black card and take a red card in my next 2 picks. Obviously, I can't do all 3 of those. Because like I want to get into, like I want to be red splashing black, I'm pretty sure. But if I don't take a red card at all, then I'm afraid people will interpret that red is open. So it's possible to just take like Inferno Titan and then take Shriekmaw Inferno Titan, and then maybe on the next pick around, if Karn is still there, I could take Karn and like a Terminate or Dreadbore or something. It does look like red sweepers, like I'm going to try to draft Pyroclasm and Slagstorm, that sort of stuff. Looks like that's good against this. That's good against this. It's probably good against these to some extent too. So I'm worried about playing the counter heavy deck. If there's only one counter heavy deck, that's probably good for me. I still don't know what's going on here. So there's a lot of stuff to think about. But I guess I'll say, like, Loxodon, Smiter, Goblin Guide, Baneslayer Angel. But, yeah, no, I have no idea if that's actually going to happen. And then, I wonder if he'll take Karn over here. Or if I can get Karn in these two picks somewhere. Or these two picks. No, that's right. Yeah, it comes as, sorry, round 6 or 7. It might just be better to take Inferno Titan and Shriekmaw. We'll see, I guess. I'm not sure if Inferno Titan or Shriekmaw is more desired by these two seats, but I will think about that a little bit and be back with my picks. Alright, so we're back. It's my turn to pick again. Pick 4. So before me, I was sort of close on some of these. This looks like the green-white decks are kind of trying to differentiate. So we've got green-white, aggro, or at least more aggressive, efficient, and then green-white, more mid-rangey, so Fauna Shaman and Wiltleaf Liege. Okay, so I probably would have taken Baneslayer Angel here, but I can see taking a green-white hybrid card that could go in a lot of decks. I guess I'll probably follow up with a Vengevine and try to draft some sort of card advantage kind of aggressive deck. Here we're just building the... this is the most interesting direction I think anyone has taken, so Joe's obviously valuing the lands very highly. Still think he could go into mono red, I'm not really sure, but anyway, it's my turn. So I've decided, based on the colors people are in, where this draft is right now, excuse me, is that I want to build some sort of big red deck, which I might have talked about already. And I'm going to try to build like a red splash black sort of deck. So these are like the cards I'm caring about. So the goal is to build something black red, obviously. I want to build a deck where every land taps for red. I'm going to play all these sweet red 2-drops. Probably not all in the main deck, like Stigma Lasher and Vexing Cheshire are probably sideboard cards, but I'm going to play these 3 guys. And the goal is just going to be that every creature in the deck is high impact and has evasion of some kind. So, this Boris Reckoner Phoenix is more flying creatures. This Fanatic of Mogus doesn't have evasion, but he could dome them for 10 or something. So what I'm coming down to right now is, in my next 2 picks, I think I need to make a statement. I need to make a statement that I'm in heavy red, and then I need to make a statement that I'm also in black. So the cards that I'm thinking of targeting are Boris Reckoner, Shriekmaw, just because of its high power level, and this is the only non-red card I think I'm going to play, and possibly Duress in the sideboard, or some kind of discard spell. And Blightning. Blightning's very kind of unique and hard to replace effect. So, like I said, I think I'm between these 3 cards for the next 2 picks. So I can't draft all of these. I'm going to try to take a couple mana rocks, some sweepers, or the bonfire possibly. I definitely want Rakdos' return. It's possible to take Rakdos' return and not Lightning, actually. Basically, I'm concerned about the ramp deck going into red, because green decks tend to go into red. You can play like Dragon Lord or Tarka and that sort of thing. And then I'm concerned about these last 2 picks are black-based cards. So I could lose the Shriekmaw if I don't take it right now. But I think it'd probably be worse for me if my neighbor goes into red. So I think I may just want to take the Boris Reckoner and be done. And then like Boris Reckoner, Shriekmaw on the way back. And then probably like Rakdos' return, and then one of these one of these, like a black discard and a black removal spell, maybe. It's like, what's irreplaceable. Like, there's really no card like Boros Reckoner. These are sort of replaceable. I want to have them both. Like, all these 4-drop flyers are kind of replaceable. They're all good, but like, I think Shriekmaw is hard to replace. I think Reckoner is hard to replace. So maybe it should just be those two. I think it's a bigger deal to make the statement, look at me, I'm in red. Stay out, because I'm sure people are thinking of jumping in. Like, this could go Naya, this could go red-green. Yeah, so I think I'm going to take the Reckoner here. And we'll see where it goes from there. Alright, so the 4 picks after me. We've got the Wolf Run ramp deck is being drafted over here. The Kessig Wolf Run Inferno Titan. Not too surprised by that. I said I think I talked about Inferno Titan last time, but having 2 5s and 2 6s seemed a bit unreasonable. And over here we've got a bit of a brew going on. So it looks like a Monastery Mentor is where we're going. So we're kind of going with the Esper Delve payoff for creatures that pay off for casting instants and sorceries. And looks like kind of an interesting brew. I'm not sure exactly where that's going, but it's probably not going to intersect with me too much, thankfully. And so no Inferno Titan. That's alright. I'm not, that's a little hard to read. Not super upset about that. What color should this be? Yeah, I'll do green. At least you can still read it. So yeah, so we're now going to be fighting. I don't think we're going to be fighting over too much red, but still fighting over some red. I wouldn't be shocked if he... I think Karn kind of comes into the picture now and fills in the Inferno Titan spot. I still like Koth. I like Karn. I like Shriekmaw. Still like the discard spells. I think the question now becomes, should we be going into... I guess the question is, like, when is the Shriekmaw going to go over here? So Shriekmaw doesn't look like it fits into this deck very well, but I'm sure it fits into this deck. How much do I need the Shriekmaw? And I keep going back and forth, because, like, it is a good card. The people are going to be playing a lot of resilient threats. There's not going to be... It's probably going to get against this deck. There's probably not a ton of things that just comes down and slams, and they got no value out of it. So I think I might actually be overrating the card. So I think I might wait on. I've decided if I'm going to go into black, and like, so I have 1 pick here, and then I get like my 2 picks close together. So like, am I going to go into black before round 8? I think is the question. Because I could very easily be like Koth, Karn, and then I guess I probably take a black card here. That probably makes the most sense. If I'm going to wait on Shriekmaw, though. Maybe I take Koth, Karn, Rakdos' return. I think I have to plant my foot in black in the next 3 picks, but I don't necessarily have to do it right now. It might actually be better to firmly be planted in red. Is there any chance someone else takes Karn? Probably not in these picks. I could see Karn very easily fits into this deck. I think I have to take Karn in the next 2 picks if I want him, which I think I do. I think I may want Karn more than Shriekmaw. These decks are so mid-range. The other thing I have to figure out is when to start taking lands. But I think I'm not going to start taking lands until more players start taking lands, and also no one's in black-red right now. So I'm not super worried. I guess, like, the nightmare is if this person is like terminate Blood Crypt or something, but I just don't see that happening yet. He also seems, I don't know what other color he'd go into, but definitely a wild card. I'll have to adjust, but kind of going on the idea that this is going to still be like more generically solid black cards for the time being. Um, yeah, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and take Koth with that, and then I'll probably take Koth, take Inferno Titan, and then take a black card. Or sorry, take Koth, take Karn, and then take a black card. I think is my plan, or maybe a black red card.